as short as you wish. You've got plenty of time. Now it comes for the ruku'. You will raise your hands as per normal because there's no restriction in raising of the hands. And then you will put your hands on your now, where does it go? Should it go on your knees or should it go on your thighs? It should go in the in-between period, in-between part here. It doesn't need to go there because that's what you're going to reserve for tashahhud. Because we're creating differences in the movements. So we would put our hands there and then we would say Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, looking straight down to where we would be theoretically making sajda. Sami Allahu liman hamidah, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. And you put your hands to the side and then Allahu Akbar. My head is now lower. My hands are straight. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Allahu Akbar. Now when I come back up to sit in a seated position, which you would normally be doing between the two sajdas, I now lean back to create a more seated position. And my hands go where? On my knees to indicate the tashahhud position. So now I'm like, Allahu Akbar, Rabbi ighfirli, Rabbi ighfirli. Then I go lower, Allahu Akbar, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Allahu Akbar. And now I move off the back. I'm upright a bit leaned over, head down. And I will now focus with my hands like this. And I will carry on now praying the next rak'ah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. So, now when I do my second rak'ah, Allahu Akbar, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, yes, 3 times, Sami Allahu liman hamidah, Rabbana wa lakal hamd, hands to the side, Allahu Akbar. Now I go in for sajda, low as possible, like this, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Allahu Akbar, hands on the knees and back up straight, Allahu Akbar, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Allahu Akbar. And now I'm in my tashahhud. I'm flat, I'm straight, my hands are over my knees, my back is up like this to indicate a more seated position as if I was sitting on the floor. Lift up my finger as per normal. And then At-Tahiyyatu lillahi wa salawatu wa tayyibat. All the way until Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. I'm praying Salatul Maghrib. Maghrib is always 3, whether traveling or not traveling. So, Allahu Akbar. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Finish the Fatiha. Allahu Akbar. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. Sami Allahu liman hamida. Allahumma Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan fi. Add to the prayer with extra adhkar or take them away as you've been learning, up to you. Then Allahu Akbar. Lower down. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. As per normal. Allahu Akbar. And then Rabbi ighfirli, Allahu Akbar. Like this. And then Allahu Akbar. I'm in my final position of seating. 3 rak'ah done now. I read everything. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Done. Salatul Maghrib done. The thing that I wanted to emphasize is that you would not bring this table down. And in the sajda part, so if I'm here, Allahu Akbar, and now doing ruku', Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Sami Allahu liman hamidah, Rabbana wa lakal hamd, Allahu Akbar. This is what people do. They lean on the table. Sometimes they put a pillow there, or they'll put a number of pillows so they can make sajda on it. I wish I was that flexible, but they want to go down and lean on something. That's something which is against the sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ actually didn't want this done, and so therefore we should avoid that. And now because we are combining, because I don't want to now risk, even though in principle it's allowed to now wait another half an hour or 20 minutes before it to become Isha time. How will I know when it's Isha time? Well, have a look out the window. You can see the darkness. This is now the issue of twilight. This is the Ash-Shafaq al-Ahmar, the red twilight that one sees when you're on the ground and you're looking at the horizon and looking in the sky. You see a redness. This redness will disappear, and then it will be followed by a whiteness in the sky. That's called Ash-Shafaq al-Abyad, the white twilight. The salah, whether it starts at the exiting of the red twilight and the white, or the white twilight, is the matter of difference between the scholars. In the Hanafi school, they want the white twilight to disappear, and that's why their prayer theoretically is a longer one before Isha starts. I say theoretically because within the school there's differences and so on. Whereas the majority are upon the opinion that is when the red twilight disappears. And when the red twilight disappears, that means that there's no redness left in the sky. There might be still a bit of a glow from the twilight, but it doesn't need to be complete pitch black. Obviously, we know it's a sunnah, as you studied in the prayer times, to pray the Isha prayer as late as possible. So the darker it is, the better. The darker it is, the better. Now, as I said, normally that would take 1.5 to 2 hours if you're on the ground in a normal time. Obviously, in the summertime, we know, especially if you live in northern latitudes, it never becomes dark completely for the whole summer. That's it. We'll cover that in the fatwa section about praying during the summertime in northern latitude countries. Leave that for now. But normally, within 1.5 to 2 hours, it becomes pitch black. But on a plane flying east, that's going to happen within half an hour, 40 minutes. So very soon it'll be Isha time anyway. So it's up to you whether you want to wait. It's sunnah, of course, to pray each prayer in its right time. It's not sunnah per se to always combine. You should only combine when there's a need. Is there a need now? Yeah. I'm really tired. I don't want to make wudu later on. I don't want to hold it. I want to get some sleep. I'm tired. So I'm going to pray my Isha with my Maghrib. So I'm going to pray Isha now. Then I'm going to knock out and go to sleep. This is a legitimate reason. I'm not going to pray my witr. I'm going to be in the airport. And I'm there for 4 hours. I'm going to make wudu. I'm going to be on the ground. I'm going to pray witr nice and relaxed and enjoy it. Might even throw a few cheeky tahajjud in there. If I go to sleep, it'll be tahajjud. If I don't go to sleep, it'll just be qiyamul layl. Why not? In Safar, you don't pray the regular sunnah prayers, but you are allowed to pray extra prayers. You are allowed to pray nafil prayers. That's something which is allowed. Alright. Now, then we'll pray the Isha combined. I would make the Iqamah again. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ya Rasulullah, ya Rabbala. Qad qamat islah, qad qamat islah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. And then I would start Allahu Akbar and pray 2 rak'ah of Isha prayer. Now, I'm going to show you what would happen if I was sitting in that seat. So I want to show you this variation here because this is a Dreamliner and it's shaped very differently and it's trying to encourage airy spaces and so on. And I've been on enough planes to let you know that this is not the norm. But in this seat, you can actually stand up. Now, because you can stand up, if you are able to pray standing, you must pray standing. It is obligatory to pray standing. Don't really come to me with the I'm too worried or scared. If you are and you're having a heart attack, palpitations, because you're sitting next to non-Muslims. I mean, it's nice and easy being on a Saudi air flight where everyone's Muslim, or most people are. So I agree with you. We shouldn't take the example of this flight. Let's imagine that it's full of non-Muslims and you're really a shy person and you're really worried. I get it. Okay? You should still have the confidence after explaining to them that you're about to pray. As I said to you before, this is the haqq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And who are they and who are you? We're all servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The difference is that you recognize it. That's all. And they don't. So it's not about anything other than you doing what you need to do. So you explain to them and then you stand and pray. I just want to say right here now, if you are absolutely terrified, or this is happening after some kind of Islamophobic incident or a terror attack, and the situation is on Paris, on top, and you really can't concentrate while you're standing and praying, and you're so terrified, then it's allowed for you to pray sitting down, because extreme clinical states of fear or depression during the prayer is not something that you're obligated to go through, especially if it is removed if you sit down. So I want you to be aware of that. Okay? So now here I can. So I can't still make ruku' properly and I can't make sajda properly, but at least I can stand. So where I'm standing, when I can stand, I will stand. And then in the other parts, I will do as much of a ruku' as possible. And then for the sajda, I will sit down and do the pseudo one. So this is what I would do Isha. If I'm praying now my Isha, because I just did my Maghrib, obviously I haven't prayed a proper Maghrib, I can't be praying and speaking to you at the same time. I will now show you how I would pray Isha in this seat. I would stand. This is my area. I would use my calves against the seat to support me. And I would be going, after giving the Iqamah, in the right direction. Allahu Akbar. And I'm now praying absolutely normal. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Ar-Rahmanir rahim. All the way until Allahu Akbar. I raise my hands, Allahu Akbar, and I will now go for ruku'. If there was a person here, there's no person here at the moment, their head would block me doing that. And so I can now sit back here and go Allahu Akbar like this. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. I've now done my ruku'. Now I stand back up again. Sami Allahu liman hamidah, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. That's very important. I stand back up again. The reason I stand back up again is because I'm able to stand back up. I don't carry on there. I'm able to stand. So the Sami Allahu liman hamidah has to be done if you're in a normal circumstance, standing. And then to go back into sajda has to come back down from standing. So I stand back up ربنا ولك الحمد حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه. Allahu Akbar. And now I do my sajda. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. Sorry, I beg your pardon. I now come for so I've now sat down to my sajda. Allahu Akbar. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Allahu Akbar. I'm in my seated position. My hands go back onto my knees, like I said before, sitting back like this. Rabbi Aghfirli, Rabbi Aghfirli. Allahu Akbar. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. And now to my second rak'ah. Allahu Akbar. And then it is like this. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And then Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Do the Fatiha. Do your surah. And now, again, this is not the preferred one because you're in another person's space and it's not even, it's much of a muchness. So, Allahu Akbar, I will sit back down again and I will go now, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, for being in ruku'. And then, Sami Allahu liman hamidah, Allahumma Rabbana wa lakal hamd. And then, I will sit back down again and go into sajda. Up from sajda, into sajda again, up from sajda, nice and back. At-tahiyatu lillah. Finish the prayer. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. These two variations were of one person who can't move at all from their place, which will happen a lot of the time, and that's okay. And the second variation was someone who could do quite a bit, was able to stand. And okay, might not stand perfectly, leaning a bit, but that's okay. That's okay. I was able to bring the majority of it. The Prophet ﷺ told us to do whatever you can do, as much as you can do. The Prophet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Fear Allah as much as you possibly can. And so you do as much as you can in that scenario, in that situation, which is what I did. So I hope that made sense. The third scenario, which we can't demonstrate in this particular plane, is to be praying fully. Ruku', sujood, everything. And you would do that in one of the other areas of the plane, normally at the front. At the moment, they are not allowing that, but that's something that you can do quite easily in normal times if you are allowed. Or you can have a discussion and they might allow you. Whether you pray directly on the floor or put something down, all of that is completely fine. One thing you got to make sure though is that you shouldn't do it outside an emergency exit. This is enough reason for me to allow you to pray sitting down, because you shouldn't be putting other people at danger. And that is, even if there are other people who are not using it, that's the whole point. Emergency exit is meant to be clear and not being used. So what are you doing there? So I don't like that. I also don't like the idea of praying in the walkways, because you're putting people at inconvenience. So you shouldn't do that. So if there is no other choice but to pray outside emergency exit or in the pathways, then you should pray sitting in the chair, or avoid it entirely and plan your trip so that you end up praying not on a plane hardly ever, but when you get to your destination, or combining before you get on the plane in the first place. So I hope this has covered all of the theory on all the issues. And then obviously if you have individual questions about specific scenarios, because there are so many things that we can't cover in this but can in the Q&A sessions, such as what happens if you're crossing a time zone in which you've actually lost a day, especially if you're going a west Pacific kind of angle, and so on. Kind of crazy situations. I hope that is clear at all levels. Just want you guys to have a look. I just want you to see the light. You see the